Oh, you finished?
Hi, how's everybody doing today? Drew, can you adjust the camera? I can only see one half of the room. I can see Dan, but I can't see the other side. Just a little bit more. I think there's on the control panel, there's something that moves it. Can you zoom out a little? There should be on the control panel where you enter the meeting. I believe there's controls there. Perfect. Thank you. And just so you know, you are muted.
So it's just a regular.
Did it work? Is it working? Are we on?
We are,
Ready?
we are on. There's man on the collision.
Right, we're just talking about you because we can tell you're not here.
Actually, we could probably do it when he's here. He wouldn't be here.
To a lot there.
All right, if we're are we recording? Live, it says live, so it must be
We are
going.
live.
So let's bring the,
Wait, what is this?
this is gonna come.
This is a report,
This is
yeah.
good, this is coming.
It's like, okay, we have it under control.
We're good. This is the monthly Public Safety General Government meeting. I'm gonna call it to order at 6:37. And we have with us today, Randy Scott Childress, Terrell Mickens, Drew Andrews, and sitting in for Jeannie Edwards is Sarah Paspy. Jeannie, I think, is Zooming, and she's remote. But Sarah complements and completes our requirement.
Zoom.
She's on film.
Hi, Jeannie.
She'll be discovered any moment.
Hi, everybody.
The first order of business is the CAC update, and Emily Hauser is here to do that. And she's going to share her slides with us, and they're already up. So
Yeah.
go, Emily.
Okay, thank you. I have many things that I would like to talk to you about. So the first one is that we work with Eli Duper at Bard College. And he has been following our air quality for 4 years. And this is his slideshow, so I don't pretend to know every little part of it. But his presentation was recorded for our meeting on the 14th of January. So you could actually see him presented. I'm going to just skip through this. In terms of air quality, what we're looking at combustion particles that are either 2.5 parts per 2.5 microns, or 10. And the 2.5 are from combustion. And we've been watching that because there's, on the left, you can see the short-term effects of 2.5 pollution from combustion. And on the right, you can see long-term effects. So there's been a lot of study, medical study about these air pollution particles. Okay. So it shows, this slide just shows the deaths because of the air pollution in general. Okay, so one of the big sources of air pollution is wood burning, along with forests and wildfires, not wildflowers, and also just any combustion of any fuel. Okay, so this is a picture on top of the Andy Murphy Center where the equipment is. And then this is the data. So what I want you to look at is 2020, the red, there was, people stopped driving because of COVID. So there's a big dip. And then the 2021 is kind of gold, and 2021, and the green and the blue and the purple. And what is shown here is in yellow bars are the air pollution that has happened mostly from wildfires. So in 2021, July, in 2023 from Canada, and then this year actually from local wildfires right here in Ulster County. And from, yeah. And the other dots that are, the black dots, those are from, in July, from fireworks. And anyway, and then there's two lines here that one is the EPA is the top line, dash line, and the World Health Organization is the lower line. So our EPA is less stringent than World Health. And these are our data, so you can see when they're being exceeded by either the EPA or the World Health. And just giving that. And then the Andy Murphy Center is pretty high up in the air. So this slide shows that down on the ground, the pollution is worse. So the pink is is closer to the ground where we would be breathing. And then the blue is on the roof at Andy Murphy. He's, I'm going to skip this one, but I do want to say that they are doing this thing called Purple Air with all the libraries in the Hudson Valley, with many of the libraries in the Hudson Valley. So this is more data. So, and the, and it also shows the air pollution in blue inside someone's home. And the indoor is from, you know, from furnaces and from gas stoves and so on. And then the red dots are showing where there was poor air quality. Anyways, this is the main slide I wanted to talk to you about. We've been looking at this in four years, so over 4 or 5 years. So this is what Eli has suggested. One, increase neighborhood level air quality monitoring through the library networks, Purple Air, and possibly have the city fund to install more air quality sensors in other areas within the city, and then reduce recreational wood burning. Recreational wood, we understand that people may need to heat their homes with wood, but recreational is that really nice cozy fireplace or you know, campfires out in the backyard. And then enforce Kingston air quality ordinances, pay attention to inversions, because we can let people know there's a bad inversion and then you shouldn't burn wood during those times. And this is a slide just showing the effect, the source of fine pollution in the Actually, this is from the Northwest, but uncertified wood stoves are the biggest polluter, EPA certified, then pellet stoves, then oil furnace, and then gas furnace. So this is just showing that wood burning is, can be a real big source of the 2.5 particles. And apparently in New York, most of the 2.5 comes from residential wood burning, more than electricity generation. And so that is, I'm just gonna check this, yeah. So that's his
Interesting.
slides.
It is.
And again, I just figured it's way easier to show that than to, than to try to explain it without slides. So if you have any questions, yes.
Is there an impact from, like barbecue grills?
Well, barbecue grills would, if they're charcoal, yes, and if they're gas, yes. There's even this kind of pollution from gas, but propane isn't as bad as wood.
But what about wood fire pits in people's backyards?
Yes, those are bad. That's recreational. Yeah, and the thing is, there is an ordinance, and we've talked a lot, and I'm not an expert on this, but we've talked to the fire department about enforcing the ordinance. And one of the things, so the best thing is just education, like this, everyone, of course, intrinsically, like we've all had fire humans have had fire forever. And so it's so just like in our whole body and soul, really, but it's actually not good. And, people used to die a lot younger from air pollution. It's still a big problem in places. But you're not supposed to have a campfire unless you're cooking. And anyway, but it's very hard. Once like someone complains, it's very hard by the time the fire department will get there to actually
See it in action and measure it.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeannie, have you got your hand up?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question about the inserts in people's houses of fireplaces. Is that give more danger, more air quality problems?
I don't know the difference between just like a fire in your fireplace or the inserts, or are you talking about like fake gas logs, or are you talking about wood burning?
No, the gas inserts that go into people's houses, into fireplaces.
Yeah, again, that one slide I showed, like propane is nowhere near as bad as wood burning, yeah. But you can see when people put the monitors in their home, they do see, even if they don't have wood, they do see some of the pollution, because it's from a combustion of a fuel.
Okay, thank you.
A couple of years ago, there was a bunch of people who appeared at one of our meetings and made a push to ban wood burning in the city. Didn't go anywhere, but it was a conversation. But was it 2 years ago, year and a half ago? But Charlie, you were gonna say?
I forgot what I was gonna ask. I'm having a senior moment, I'm sorry. Yeah, no.
It'll come.
Okay, it'll come.
Yeah. So anyway, this is just, again, every year we've been bringing this up, and, I'm just informing you, and there were some suggestions here. And by the way, some municipalities are banning wood stoves.
I got it back. In terms of testing your indoor air quality, how big is the monitoring? And it could be deployed to individuals if they wanted to test their indoor air quality.
I need to get back to you on that. Yeah. I think these ones that are at the libraries are pretty inexpensive, but they're outdoors, but I don't know if they can be used indoor too. Yeah, I don't know. how much.
Somebody somewhere probably makes an indoor air quality monitor.
Yeah.
You can Google that right now.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to some other things. We issue an annual report, you all should have gotten it, so I'm not gonna go over it. It just talks about what we did and what kind of training we've done and what other, activities. We've had Jen Clark join us this fall, and she's a resident in Kingston, and she's highly qualified. She works at the Winnicke Land Trust. And she has the interesting, she, interestingly enough, was the first person to discover the spotted lanternfly on Staten Island. And the first spotted lanternfly in New York. And so she actually did a lot of research, I think, her master's on it. And Brendan Walsh we just okayed him. He hasn't actually been confirmed by the mayor, or appointed by the mayor, and he's a Bard student, lives in Kingston. So we have 2 new members. Okay, so there's a Lower Esopus, there's a resolution about the Lower Esopus Stream Management Plan that was in front of Laws and Rules, and you'll be seeing that at the Common Council. It did pass Laws and Rules on the 15th, if you have any questions on that. We're gonna start working on kind of providing information, resources on native plants, so that when not only just, so like when the planning department so our form-based code says that if possible, you should use native plants. So we want somewhere where people that are using the form-based code, people that are developing properties can go and look for those native plants. And we're also going to include the DEC banned plants, which are of course on there. And the new urban forester has really been very helpful for the tree commission and for looking at and helping us with that. Okay, so the wetlands, there was a change in the laws of what was protected in wetlands. For wetlands, and that was a federal thing, and now the state has changed everything, has had new regulations about wetlands, and Kingston our wetlands will all be considered wetlands of unusual importance because we are urban. So the wetlands will be protected. These new regulations came into effect on December 31st, and we can work with them to kind of learn what that means in the next year or so. So that's really important, interesting. And then I wanted to make, you may have been hearing from your constituents about the landfill leachate loophole. Has anyone heard of that?
Heard of it,
Mhm.
heard it, but not.
Heard of it, but didn't really investigate.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting. So this is a group of people that work at River or are associated somehow with Riverkeeper, but they put their own individual names on it, and they've done some studies. And what happens is if you have a landfill, it rains onto the landfill, and if it's capped, it should just kind of go off and any rain should be captured, but then there's kind of rain. So leachate is when you have rain go through material precipitation, kind of what leaches through, like coffee grinds. Okay, is coffee is an example. So anyway, the landfills have to collect that, and then they've been taking it for decades to sewage treatment plants And now what they're finding is that, of course, all the chemicals of all the stuff that's in those landfills is in that leachate. They take it to a sewage treatment plant, but the sewage treatment plants are not required to actually treat it for what's in it. So, it's really going, so the study is showing that the leachate is, the outflow at the sewage plant is, they're not treating it. So it's going into the water where there's drinking water supplies. So this is statewide, but of course and Kingston is one of those sewage treatment plants. The Resource Recovery Agency closed 3 landfills in the 90s, and Hurley also has a leachate collection system. I'm not sure who else does. So this leachate seems to be a problem, and so they're asking, the action would be to get the regulations changed, and potentially more drastic would be to ask the city of Kingston sewage treatment plant not to accept the leachate.
It's,
But
you know,
that's-
if I can leachate, what they're talking about is the forever chemicals.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
leachate.
Yes.
Most of the stuff through leachate is not, years ago when I was practicing, the treatment for leachate used to be to pump it up on top again.
Oh,
Right,
That was what they
right.
did. And it just, got better and better every time. And so the treatment is a relatively new, relatively, but 10 years, 15 years.
yeah,
And they didn't understand, and nor do they know how to get rid of the forever chemicals that are in that.
Right.
And, the question is, how, what do
Where
you
do
do
you
with
put
forever
them?
chemicals? Where do you put them? How bad are they?
yeah,
It's a whole, and, the power company has PCBs all over the place. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff with these forever chemicals that
yeah,
we have yet to
the
figure out.
PFAs, yes, so.
I do know we don't
It's-
want it in the water.
You probably not,
That's
they're very stable.
But, it's also in dental floss.
Right, it's
So,
all over the place,
it's all over.
this stuff is, right.
I mean, it's really very awful. Thank you for explaining that. And because anyway, yes, so that's that just came out. There was a webinar on January 6th, and so the information is getting out there to people. So I just wanted to bring that up because you might be hearing from your constituents on that, and you can adopt a resolution. They've sent that out, and if you're interested, I can give you the word. We are watching the properties along the boulevard. There's one called on Pettit. It's a multifamily housing, which is great. It's workforce housing. I'm trying to think how many units.
It's
I-
27 to
27.
Right, and I think the planning board was looking at it last night.
Yeah, so we submitted some comments.
I saw those comments, they
Oh.
were good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so one of the issues is just egress, but also Pettit used to be a street. It's not, it's a paper street, and it could cause problems for access if anything happens to the former Lawton Park property. And we're also watching that. So Lawton Park was decommissioned as a park. It's owned by a company called Lawton Park LLC. It's about 10 acres, and they're looking to sell it. So there's that, so just kind of watching that. There's some other communities in Ulster County that are worried about the flushable wipes that aren't flushable.
Right.
So we're gonna see what we can do about that. More promo, we're gonna,
Just
pardon?
don't
But
flush it.
your sewer guy doesn't like those,
Yeah,
your pal, that is,
And put on the sewer.
right.
Yeah, so we're,
I never believed they were flexible anyway.
He doesn't either.
yeah.
And
And all-
they cause incredible havoc in our pump stations.
Yeah, they
Yes.
sort of congeal
And, but also, I mean, if you have a septic, it's bad also, so, yes, so anyway, so we're trying to follow that. And finally, I just wanted to bring up that at the mayor's, state of the city, he mentioned that there's gonna be a water gauge, water level and water discharge gauge. And I just want to say that years ago, when we were when we did the flooding, sea level rise kind of flooding task force, that was one of the big things. And, you know, so we've been watching that. And so it's really great that they are going to be putting that in, because you can sign up for an alert on your phone from the USGS and it will tell you when the water level goes high. And so it's really going to be important for the businesses and residents down there and for the city. So I think that's really good. So I just want to bring that up. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your update. It's really
Okay.
Thank you for the
lots of
work. you did.
interesting stuff. This is really kind of, some of it's troubling.
Yes.
I want to, if everybody's okay with that, I want to jump the agenda and go to Dan, so you don't have to sit here and go through all of our exciting things that as we move forward. About the Board of Assessment appointment.
Yeah, so, as of, September 30th, this year, we've had a vacancy. Philip Bender Timon, his term, his 5-year term, expired. I'd like to, I sent a letter to, common council to see if we can have this, experienced member, reappointed. Each member, at the beginning of their 5-year term, needs some training. The training is scheduled just on either late April or early May this year. So it's imperative that we make an appointment very soon, so we can have the full 5 members here for the Board of Assessment Review. Philip has done a great job, in my opinion. They're a quasi judicial board. They're not my board. They're the city's board. Complainants come in. They get to have their case heard by the Board of Assessment Review. And I myself are kind of the defendant in those hearings. The person comes in, makes a claim. There's certain aspects of RPTL that, I'm presumed correct until the person makes a claim, proves that I haven't. Philip has done a good job, as all our members have over the past many years. So if the common council doesn't have another person to fill that seat, I would like to see if we can have that seat filled by Philip. It's a 5-year term. And
Are we the appointer or are we the?
this is,
Recommend.
Or the recommender?
this is, I believe, one of your very few appointments that the council has in the city of Kingston. And we've talked about this before.
Right.
That this is one that is in law that, I do believe the resolution still needs to be signed by the mayor, but, he is not the appointee, the mayor is not the appointee authority, in this aspect. That needs to be passed by resolution.
Okay,
Not in discussion.
well, we've had a proposal has been made, so I'll entertain a motion to appoint Philip Bender Timon to the Board of Assessment Review. Reappoint. Right. Motion by Cheryl. Second,
Second?
any discussion?
So what does he do in his real life?
So, in the insurance business.
Oh, okay.
So he has,
Actually,
yeah, he's got, can understand, conceptually with regard to valuation, everyone has a different value. There's, value that is determined by a reasonable seller, insurance agencies, value property. Not saying that's his specific job, but he understands obviously that concept. We also have, bank appraisers, so he understands the concept of how to get to value, the cost, sales comparison, income approach. So, the board of assessors review has done a really good job over these past few years, especially in the leadership of Chairperson Branford. And we kind of come to that, that next level, but, really put their minds together, got in I think much better order under his direction. It's been more orderly, not that it was out of order, but seems to be working quite well together. They obviously don't always agree with my perspective, and that's fine. That's part of their job, and they're doing it, I think.
and so the follow-up to that question would be, are there any other members that are serving a second term?
Yes, Chairperson Matthew Branford. David Niles was just reappointed last year to a second term. In the past, Chairman Wayne Platt did serve multiple terms. He's no longer on the Board of Assessor Review. And I do believe Virginia Davis is in her second term. She had a short stint to fill a seat and then was reappointed, if my memory serves me correct. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's common, but it does happen. And I see that in other municipalities as well. People are comfortable in that position. This board meets on the fourth Tuesday in May. And then if there's any spillover into the next day, they would be there as well. They reconvene, since they're a judicial board, they will convene in private, because they are judge and jury. Their deliberations are not part of open meetings. It gives them a chance to talk honestly and frankly about the case. I'm not there when they're deliberating. We have a hearing, get to make my case, the complainant makes their case first, I make mine, and then they deliberate how they see fit.
Are they compensated?
They're not. This is a board in other municipalities that is found to be compensated. This is one of, you will find in other municipalities that you can compensate the Board of Assessors Review. Because of its, I think it's different responsibilities.
I'm sorry. I've been intrigued with the process. So if you have a grievance, and you go before this body.
Yep.
What, you had to give like a percentage of times that they would overturn the assessed value, or I'm just trying to figure out, like, what would be the percentage of times that the plaintiff would win,
Yeah,
as opposed to,
I haven't fielded those statistics or delved into those. My best guess of it would be less than 25%. But the complainant has specific responsibilities to be able to affect the claim. Unfortunately, with my office's assistance, if someone, because when your constituents comes in and says, hey, how do I do this? We talk about the process. Right or wrong, I will assist them filling out the form. Opens the line of communications to really understand what their responsibilities are, to be able to effect a claim that is going to be, having the ability to be considered by the board of assessors. Just because they fill out the form and sign it, doesn't mean that they've given the board all the necessary information for them even to make a determination. And lots of times that's what we do see. A lot of times that's by design as well, by complainants and maybe their legal representatives. They're not looking for a change at the board of assessor review, in my opinion. They're looking to go on to the next step, whether it be Ulster County Supreme Court or a small claims officer. Now, I would say in those scenarios when people are filing a complaint in front of the board of assessor review and then take it to that next level, they have increased their chances greatly to have a change on whatever they're complaining about. It could be status, it could be assessment, it could be exemption. But I would say that, just guessing, it's probably more near 50%. So, and those are claims that are typically more well thought out, properly filled out forms, properly filed paperwork.
Probably with the assistance of an attorney.
Some yes, and some other assessment complaint representatives who have experience in the field.
Okay,
So when they do make it to that next step, there's, my experience, I've seen a higher percentage of change than just in front of the board of assessor review.
Good to know.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts? So we're happy with Mr. Timon and I can tell. And there's.
we don't have, there's not a vacancy to be filled because he wants to fill,
Right.
he wants to fill it, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he wants to step up again for another 5 years.
Yeah, I
That's
did
great.
speak with him and he said he'd be willing to serve and happy to serve. But don't want to step on the council's toes. If there was another candidate, that's great. But if not, let's see if we can move forward in a timely manner to get him seated and be able to schedule
Yeah.
for the training that he would need to be required to take to sit on the board this year.
Okay. So, where am I? Do I have a motion?
You did, right?
Do I have a
And you
second?
have six?
Okay. So, shall the discussion seems to be over.
Any discussion?
Go ahead.
Can I make one point? So I apologize for not bringing a committee report. The committee report would be, Philip Bender Timon, to fill the vacancy of the board assessor review, term ending at 9/30/29.
29.
We have staggered terms. One comes up each year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here's the report, appointment of a member of the Board of Assessment, Philip Bender Timon, to fill a vacancy that expires on 9/30/29. Good?
Mhm.
Can I have a vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.
So, yeah, if, next year, throw it on your calendar for August, September, if you're interested, if you have someone, please.
That's when the grievance process begins.
That's when our
That's-
next appointment is up.
Oh, the next
This
appointment is
year.
up.
Definitely that
Yep.
wants to do this job.
And I was a little bit late this year sending the request. Usually I try to send it before the end of the year, and it got caught up to the voting season, so.
Yeah.
My apologies there.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much. You too. Stay warm.
Okay. I have a quarterly update on design projects that John sent me. Did he send you guys as well? If not, I'll send it to you. And I'll read it briefly because it is pretty brief. Bring you into up to date where he is on stuff, but I'm happy to send it to you as soon as I figure out how to do that. The complicated stuff. The summary is as follows. Is you got projects in construction, Clinton Quarter and Uptown DRI projects, which will be, the first one will be done, is pretty much done in front of Governor Clinton and Albany Avenue. It'll be completed in the spring of 2025, the punch list. ADA ramps, 2024 project. He says he's 100% complete in November. Project constructed a number of ramps and intersections and focused mainly on St. James and Cornell. And the Prospect Street Sewer Project, which is in winter shutdown. And it will continue to start up again when the weather allows. And it's a replacement of our sewer system in kind, so it's not an improvement in capacity. And it includes upgraded sidewalks and some pavement work and curb ramps. He thinks substantial completion will be July of 2025. So I'll send this to you. You don't have to take notes if you don't want to. Projects in design. He's got a safe and accessible Flatbush and Foxhall Avenue project, which has been ongoing for a while. Senator Schumer got us the remaining money necessary to do it. So that's moving forward. And it'll be sidewalks and pavement improvements from Colonial Gardens down to the corner, out Foxhall to the past Cornell. And the conversation is the Cornell intersection, which could result in the ending of the Cornell Foxhall connection at that intersection that's wide and
Yeah.
by the train tracks. You know, it's going to upgrade the train crossing as well. And the present design terminates that connection so that people will go down to South Manor and make a right. There's some controversy around it. Much of that will surface during the public participation period, which will happen this spring, where some people will come out in favor and against, and then they'll make a decision about how they can make that a better intersection. As right now, it's an awkward, I would call it an awkward intersection. I go through it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's awkward. I'll leave it at that. And our pump station is around the corner. It's kind of nice. And the trailer place is out of business, so who knows what's going to go in there. So it's kind of a confusing location. But that more to come on that. You may hear from constituents. I certainly expect to myself. The Weaving and the Waterfront Transportation Project, which has just been funded down by the watershed or waterfront, is a connection. It's in the grant phase at this point, and the consultant will be selected in 2025. So it's a few years off. They're going to do the design work, and the consultant will move forward. Construction is 27-28, he says. And 88 ramps for 2025. Internal meetings have been held to confirm locations to be designed and constructed in 2025. And more details will be available in April as he gets more ideas on the locations that he wants to work on. That's an important piece. You know, we've been out of compliance for our conformity with the Americans with Disabilities Act. It's nice to get the corners done. Personally, I think we're going to have to push it to get the rest of it done. We have 80 miles of sidewalk.
Yeah.
I would guesstimate that probably 60 miles of it could use work.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
And we can do some new ones.
and how we fund that's going to be a conversation that I think we're going to have to enter into next year. What we do about that, because it's really, every time you see somebody walking in the street, it's because the sidewalk is so terrible.
Right.
And, and you bump into trees and the tree, issues, which is the biggest reason for sidewalk failure in the city. So it gets very complicated. So I'll send that to you in an email, because John sent it to me in an email. I expect he will do this quarterly, and also Ed Norman will also do a quarterly update on what we're working on. So we're going to do one at a time, so we don't have competing things. So Ed will be along soon. Okay, now we get into the important, exciting stuff. Should we start with yours, Sarah? Because you've been so kind to come and sit here. She made a request. Sarah made a request of the city engineer to look at parking restrictions on Merlina.
Merlina,
He
yes.
thinks he approves of them.
And yes, I was on the phone with him today. And I sent an email to both Bob and Andrea and copied John, so that he could see it and confirm it. But basically, what we were, this is an area, well, there's a whole section of Marolina that had the signage changed as it runs down the hill to get to Edson. And it says no parking, no standing Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on that section. And that is working well now. It's making a big difference. But what's happening is there are a lot of cars that line up along Marolina to get into the flow down there. And it's causing backups in the 2 blocks before that because the streets up there are very narrow. And what happened is there's parking on both sides of the street. And if you've got one line of cars that's parked and you've got one line of, if you have cars parked on both sides, then the people who are waiting
Right.
are stuck in the middle, and then the buses can't get through and the people can't get through, and it's a mess. So I did talk to John Kurtz, who's the school resource officer, who's up there patrolling and trying to direct traffic. And he suggested that one side of the street should be no parking, no parking, no standing, just a little 2-block area. Because that way, even if cars were parked on one side, you'd have 2 lanes flowing, so that if the standers were waiting there to get their kids, you'd still have another lane. So I went and I spoke to all the neighbors, which there aren't that many because they're 2 short blocks. And I said, how do you feel about this? And we discussed all the options and they agreed and they said, well, it should be on this side of the street, which is the side of the street closest to Edson, but it's also where Granite enters into Marolina. It's a 1-block long street entering into Marolina. And right now, if there are cars parked there, people coming from Granite into Marolina can't see any of the cars coming. So basically, everybody agreed that that would be a good side. These are all neighbors who have driveways. So it's not affecting them. What it's affecting are the parents who park their cars there so that they can, take their kids down there. So they just have to park a little bit further away or just wait in the line. So anyway, so I mentioned that to John and he agreed that simple is better instead of times, which is necessary at the other end because that's where the buses turn. We and the neighbors have agreed that to just say no parking, no standing anytime. This side, on this side of the street, and I don't know what the exact language is, because DPW will
Right, DPW.
use their standard signs,
Right.
but he was in agreement with that. And so anyway, he said he would respond to the email. He's not because he's actually on vacation. But I can give you my word that, that he did.
Right.
He did agree that that would be a good thing to do, painless, the neighbors are fine with it. And so anyway,
I'm confident that you're correct in representing his view. So I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, so I motion that this would be the removal of,
This is the
no, the
install.
installation,
Is the install no parking signs on Molina as per the
no
city?
parking and standing, no parking or
Well,
standing.
as per the city engineers.
As per the city engineer's
So
recommendation.
whatever he wants to do.
There we go, whatever he wants to do, DPW figures out. It's for the 2 blocks between Voorhees and Boulder on Marolina.
I'll say.
Any discussion?
she covered that.
I would say that the resource officer has been
Be
great.
installed.
John Kurtz has been great because he's there and he negotiates, with the parents and the kids and the buses and all of that. He's there every day, when the kids are being dropped off and picked up. And good for him, that he puts in that time and that he's, reliable and is there.
And full cycle, this will reduce the idling emission.
And won't it though?
I've been handling that here. So, all those
Put it
in,
back another block.
all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is passed.
Oh, yes, I can vote.
You voted, I heard you vote.
I voted.
Okay, we have 3 more. Traffic safety ideas education. Andrea wrote to me and said she'd like to table that until she can be here to talk about it.
Which one is that?
That's the number 6.
Number 6.
So then despite the deep disappointment by Rennie, I would suggest we table it.
We've written a 3-volume book about this that we're going to present, but she has the manuscript.
So we'll have to postpone it until she shows up. So if everybody's good with that, we'll table that and let that go. Addition of an accessible, an ADA parking spot at 8 Smith Avenue, which has been requested by the mayor. And I'm presuming that John has approved it. We can make it conditional on his approval, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll entertain a motion to,
Motion.
ready? And a second?
Second.
Terrell? Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? The next one is the removal of an ADA sign. At 170 Down Street, I have a constituent that talked to me and also talked to Andrea, and apparently the person for whom that sign was put up is no longer, doesn't have a vehicle and doesn't need the sign. So, kind of a short story on that one. So is there a motion to remove that sign?
Motion?
Second?
I'll second it since I'm here.
Okay, any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next one is a removal of an ADA parking sign at 10 Walnut. And it was suggested by Alderman Schott, who is not here, but he did speak about it. I think it's the same situation. He's written a letter that he submitted to the file. The person that lived there no longer has a vehicle or has a need for it. So he's asking for it to be removed. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Don't go before it, sign it up.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
we're good.
Good night.
Good night, Jamie. Good night, Lisa.